Imagine waking up to a world where the sun never sets, yet you never see the ground. You are 50 kilometers above the surface of the most hostile planet in the solar system, Venus. If you were to stand on the surface below, the atmospheric pressure would crush your body instantly, with the weight of a lead ocean pressing down from all sides. The heat, a constant 480 degrees Celsius, would melt the very sensors of a robot in minutes. But here in the high altitude of the Venusian clouds, something impossible happens. The air pressure is exactly 1 atmosphere, the same as Earth at sea level. The temperature is a comfortable 25 degrees. You are standing in the most Earth-like environment in the entire galaxy, and it is floating in a sea of toxic yellow acid. This is the story of the Cloud Cities, the greatest engineering feat in human history. While the rest of the world looked toward the cold, dead dust of Mars, a group of rebel visionaries, the Aero Architects, looked at the morning star and saw a different destiny. They didn't want to dig tunnels like moles in the Martian rock. They wanted to sail the sky. They realized that the air we breathe, oxygen and nitrogen, is naturally buoyant in the heavy carbon dioxide atmosphere of Venus. To build a city here, you don't need expensive helium or dangerous hydrogen. You just need a giant balloon filled with ordinary, breathable air. A sphere the size of a football stadium filled with the air you are breathing right now can lift a massive luxury apartment complex into the Venusian heights. But life in the clouds is a beautiful nightmare. Outside the reinforced, triple-layered polymer glass, the wind howls at 300 kilometers per hour, carrying clouds of concentrated sulfuric acid that would dissolve steel in seconds. Inside, however, there are sprawling botanical gardens, artificial lakes, and forests that breathe in the planet's carbon dioxide and pump out pure, fresh oxygen. To live here is to live in a state of constant, fragile grace. You are one structural failure, one tear in the fabric, away from a 5-minute terminal fall into a white-hot furnace. Yet the people of the clouds, the Vesperians, wouldn't trade it for anything. They aren't just colonists. They are the first humans to truly conquer the sky. But as the cities grow larger, a dark question begins to haunt the architects. What happens if the planet below decides it wants its sky back? The surface of Venus is a vision of hell that no human eye was ever meant to see. For centuries, our probes died within minutes of landing, their lenses melting into slag before they could even send back a single clear image. The atmosphere isn't just air. It's a supercritical fluid, a dense, swirling soup of carbon dioxide and sulfur that behaves like something between a gas and a liquid. It is a world of eternal twilight, where the sun is just a faint, sickly glow hidden behind 60 kilometers of acid clouds. It was a place we were told to forget. But the human spirit does not handle forbidden very well. The promise of Venus wasn't on its scorched soil, but in its physics. Unlike Mars, which has a weak gravitational pull that slowly destroys human bone density and weakens the heart, Venus is Earth's twin in size. Its gravity is 92% of what we feel on Earth. This is the Venus promise. It meant that we could build a civilization where children could grow up with strong skeletons and healthy cardiovascular systems. We didn't have to genetically engineer ourselves into 7-foot-tall fragile giants like the Martians did. On Venus, we could stay human. This biological sanctuary became the driving force behind the Great Ascent. The first pioneers didn't arrive in traditional rockets. They came in atmospheric entry shields that unfolded into massive specialized airships known as the Havoc class. These were not mere ships. They were floating laboratories, the seeds of what would become the megacities of the 22nd century. Every liter of air inside these vessels was a precious resource, serving both as the life support for the crew and the lifting gas that kept them above the death zone. But the engineering required to keep these cities afloat is a miracle of materials science. The envelopes of the cities are coated in layers of Teflon, gold leaf, and specialized acid-resistant polymers. Every second of every day, the acid rain tries to eat its way inside. The maintenance crews working in specialized drone suits are in a constant war against corrosion. They are the silent guardians of the sky, knowing that on Venus the environment isn't just a challenge, it is an active predator. If the 21st century was the age of oil, and the 22nd century was the age of Martian minerals, then the 23rd century belongs to the Venusian sun, because Venus is nearly 30% closer to the sun than Earth. The solar energy available in its upper atmosphere is staggering. The floating cities are not just homes, they are the largest power plants ever conceived by the human mind. Their entire upper surfaces are covered in hyper-efficient, thin-film solar arrays that harvest a relentless, blinding stream of photons that never stops. Venus doesn't just generate power for its own survival. It beams massive quantities of energy via microwave relays to orbital hubs, which then distribute it to the Moon, Mars, and the asteroid belt. This energy abundance turned the cloud cities into the wealthiest metropolises in the solar system. While Martian miners live in functional, cramped tunnels, the citizens of Astria and Ishtar Sky live in absolute opulence. They have built the verdant rings, massive circular parks where Earth's extinct plants have been resurrected using the planet's infinite CO2 and recycled water. Here you can walk through a rainforest while looking out a window at a sky that looks like a swirling ocean of gold. This wealth has birthed a new social elite, the Cloud Walkers. They wear aero suits designed by the world's finest artists, garments that function as both fashion and emergency survival gear, capable of inflating into personal life rafts in a split second. But the economy of Venus is built on a dangerous dance with the wind. The atmosphere of Venus doesn't just sit still. It super-rotates, whipping around the planet every 4 days at speeds exceeding 360 kilometers per hour. To stay in the sweet spot of temperature and pressure, the cities must sail these global currents. They use massive automated thermal sails to catch the rising heat from below, steering through the turbulence like ancient ships on a stormy sea. This has created a culture of skynauts, highly skilled pilots who manage the city's altitude and trajectory. If a city loses its grip on the currents, it can be dragged down into the deep mist, where the acid thickens and the heat rises. In the golden cities of Venus, your bank account might be full, but your life is always at the mercy of the gale. To live on Venus is to live within a ghost story. Billions of years ago, before the sun grew hotter and the oceans boiled away, Venus was Earth's true twin. It likely had vast blue oceans, tectonic plates, and perhaps even a flourishing biosphere. It was a paradise that went wrong. A runaway greenhouse effect turned the planet into a planetary pressure cooker, providing us with a haunting warning of what could happen to Earth if we failed to protect our own atmosphere. For the Vesperians, looking down into the clouds isn't just looking at a planet, it's looking at a possible future for humanity. By the year 2150, the ambition of the Cloudwalkers shifted from survival to the Great Restoration. A plan was set in motion that would be the largest project in the history of the species, the solar parasol. A massive spiderweb-thin mirror, thousands of kilometers wide, was positioned at the Lagrange point between Venus and the Sun. Its purpose was simple but godlike: to put Venus in total shadow. By blocking the sun's rays, the architects hoped to cool the entire planet. They wanted to force the carbon dioxide atmosphere to condense and eventually fall as dry ice rain, exposing the surface for the first time in 3 billion years. However, this plan sparked the altitude schism. The Cloudwalkers, who had spent generations building a culture based on the winds and the heat, saw the terraforming project as an act of planetary murder. If the planet cooled, the winds would die. If the winds died, the floating cities would lose their lift and be forced to land on a surface they weren't designed to touch. Violent protests broke out in the sky streets. Rebel groups began sabotaging the atmospheric processors that were dropping cooling agents into the lower mists. It was a civil war fought across the vertical layers of a planet. Earth saw Venus as a project to be fixed. The Martians saw it as a resource to be exploited. But the Vesperians saw it as their sacred, beautiful home. They were the first humans to love a monster, and they weren't ready to let it go. After a century of darkness under the solar parasol, the miracle finally happened. The temperature on the surface of Venus dropped below 100 degrees Celsius. The thick, choking clouds began to thin, and for the first time in an eternity, the sky children, those born in the floating cities who had never felt the weight of soil beneath their feet, looked down and saw the impossible. They saw the jagged obsidian peaks of Maxwell Montes rising like dark towers out of the dissipating mist. They saw the vast volcanic plains of Aphrodite Terra, cooled and silent, waiting for the touch of life. The first surface drop was more than a mission. It was a religious experience for the entire solar system. A specialized heavy-duty lander carrying a team of scientists and poets touched down on the plains of Lakshmi Planum. When the doors opened, they didn't find the hellscape of the history books. They found a world of crystallized minerals, where the extreme pressures of the past had created geological structures that defied description. As the dim light of the shielded sun hit the ground, the surface of Venus shimmered like a geode the size of a planet. The first footsteps on the Martian dust had been about survival. The first footsteps on the Venusian soil were about rebirth. The story of Venus is the ultimate proof of humanity's resilience. We didn't just survive the morning star, we transformed it. But more importantly, it transformed us. We learned that we don't have to destroy a planet to live on it. We learned how to exist in the balance between the sky and the ground. Today, as the first permanent surface cities begin to rise, we carry the lessons of the clouds with us. We know that a world is a living, breathing thing, and that our place in the stars is not as masters but as partners. Subscribe to Shorai Vision as we continue to document the birth of our interplanetary future. We have seen the red dust of Mars and the golden clouds of Venus, and we are just getting started. The galaxy is waking up, and humanity is the one holding the torch.